You were probably easy to please as a child, not because life was easy, because it's not, but because to life, you were easy. You didn't make a fuss. You didn't really ask for much. You understood things far too early. You learned how to read the room, how to stay calm, and how not to make things worse. And people liked that about you. They called you mature or maybe responsible, wise beyond your years. But nobody asked what it cost you. Because now you're older and something doesn't really quite add up. You struggle to relax even when nothing is wrong. You feel guilty for resting. You take responsibility, full responsibility for things that are not yours to deal with. You can handle anything and everything. And you might not even connect those things. This is where it starts to feel confusing because on the surface, you're functioning, but underneath, you're tired in a way that doesn't really make sense. Because growing up too fast doesn't disappear, it adapts and readapts so it can follow you. You become the person who's always on or always aware, always managing, because your system learned something early. If I stay aware, I stay safe. If I stay useful, I stay loved. If I don't need too much, I don't become a problem or their problem. These patterns don't just turn off because you're older. That's why you feel responsible for everything. That's why small things can feel so heavy. That's why, like, the feeling of peace is completely unfamiliar. Because for you, calm wasn't the baseline, it wasn't your baseline. Awareness was. That's the difference. A child who grows up too fast doesn't become strong in a healthy way. They become adaptable and adapted. And adaptation is exhausting. That's why you can handle pressure, probably better than most, but struggle with stillness. That's why you can probably support everybody else, but feel lost when it comes to trying to support yourself. It's why being needed is normal, feels normal, but being cared for feels very uncomfortable because your system got used to carrying more than it ever should have, and it never got a chance to put it down. One of the biggest signs of this is how aware you are of other people around you. You notice these subtle tone shifts, mood changes. You can read people quickly. And that sounds like a strength most of the time. And it is sometimes. But it comes with a cost because you get so good at reading everyone else that you lose connection within yourself. If you enjoyed this video or got anything from it, please like it. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. Another thing is guilt. Guilt when you rest, guilt when you say no, guilt when you disappoint someone or even someone is disappointed around you, even when you've done nothing really wrong. That's why boundaries can feel so uncomfortable. Because along the way, somewhere you learned that being easy to deal with was better than being honest. And then there's this: you keep things to yourself. You don't want to burden people. You like to deal with things alone on your own. You downplay what hurts you. And again, it can look like strength, but it's not always strength. Sometimes it's simple conditioning. The child inside of you, or the child like that's a part of you, is saying, don't make it harder. Don't take up space. Don't need too much. Because you learn to contain yourself early, and containment over time becomes isolation. And then there's the exhaustion, not just physical, but emotional and mental. It's the kind of exhaustion that doesn't really go away with sleep. The strain of always being aware, always adjusting, always carrying more than you should. Because internally you've been running on high responsibility mode for years. And that mode becomes very expensive. Now, here's the part most people get wrong. They say, that made me who I am. I had to grow up fast and I'm stronger for it. And yes, it did shape you. But you, me, we need to be honest about something. Strength that comes from necessity is not the same type of strength that comes from safety. And a lot of what you call strength might actually just be survival. And survival patterns, they don't turn off on their own. They keep running, even when you don't need them anymore. That's why this all shows up in your life still, because your system is doing exactly what it learned to do. This makes sense. And once something makes sense, you can start to change your relationship with it. You have to understand it, and then change can happen. But not by forcing yourself to be different, because that won't work, but by recognizing what's actually happening. Because some of the things that you think are personality traits are not. I'm sorry. Being hyper independent, always being or feeling responsible, struggling to relax, or feeling guilty for resting. Those might not be your true baseline. They might be adaptations. And what was learned can be unlearned. And you don't fix this by trying to be stronger. You're already strong enough. You fix this by allowing something different to happen. Letting yourself rest without feeling you earned it. Letting yourself need without apologizing. Letting yourself be supported without explaining it away. And it will feel uncomfortable at first because it's unfamiliar, not because it's wrong. That's why this is hard, but because you're not just changing your behavior, you're changing your past, and you're changing what feels safe. And that does take time. But this is where it starts, by becoming more allowed. Allowed to slow down, allowed to feel, allowed not to carry everything or everyone. Because the version of you that everyone depended on may also be the same version of you that got the most tired. And maybe that's just what you're feeling now. And it's just the weight of growing up too soon. And the first real chance you've had to finally put some of it down. If you enjoyed this video or got anything from it, please like it. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. My name is John. You're welcome to be here, and you're more than welcome to stay here.